Today on Moviewallas, we talk about the drama, I Swear, and Michael. It's time for Moviewallas. Hi, this is Joe.
Hi, it's Rashmi.
And Yazdi as well.
Moviewallas is your weekly dose of film reviews, movie news, and general banter in theatres, on DVD, online streaming, or in the back of an airplane. If you love the movies, this show is for you. Greetings.
Greetings.
This is take 2.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Due to a production error, Joe pressed the wrong button somehow. We were recording.
We had a really good discussion.
We didn't have a really good.
You should have just gone along.
Get that far. But anyway,
the best discussion, which
Ever.
will never be recaptured.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the reason that it's been a while since we put a podcast out, and that was indeed because Rashmi and I were traveling. We were in the UK for 3 weeks for a family wedding.
Which was wonderful.
It was super fun, and so that was super fun.
Yes.
And now, Yazdi, I think you're going to be away for a while,
traveling.
so we're
I'm
going to cram in some Moviewallas while
In
we
between.
can.
Yes.
2 podcasts to review today, so I'm excited to talk about all of these. We are on a time crunch, so we're going to go straight to business. That business being our usual segment of I can't find anything to watch on video on demand. Why do we do this? We do this so that you can sit down
Yep.
on your couch in an evening without any stress and pick one of the fine shows or movies that we are
3
about to select.
choices, every podcast mostly.
So Rashmi, what you got?
Okay, I got a series on Netflix. It is the series, they're about 35, 40 minutes each, very easy to watch, 6 episodes. The show is called Being Gordon Ramsay. It is about the chef, worldwide phenomenon now. Gordon Ramsay has many, many businesses and TV shows like Hell's Kitchen and The F Word, and he's got Kitchen Nightmares. And basically, this is a year in his life leading up to the opening of his flagship 5 restaurants, including a culinary school, at the top of this amazing building in the city of London called Bishopsgate. So it's a bit of an infomercial, if I'm honest, but it's still a little peek behind the curtain. And it's really interesting to see how he is.
Is it only about him, or it's about the...
It's the opening of the building. So you're 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out. It's kind of, leading up to the opening night of the restaurant. And it's got mainly his wife and 2 of his children and then 2 of his younger children. So very interesting, very easy to watch. We watched this in, we watched 2 episodes a night. We could have watched more.
They're like 30, 40-minute episodes.
Yeah, very easy to watch.
I agree. I mean,
entertaining.
I enjoyed it. I mean, clearly it kind of felt a little bit like the Victoria Beckham documentary, where it's clearly aimed at kind of boosting their profile.
Absolutely.
I felt like I learned a lot about Ramsay. He's everywhere, but we don't feel like we know him very much. So it's a carefully selected, carefully chosen and
curated,
carefully edited program. But it still shows that he's kind of a legit mogul. Yeah. Right? He's a restaurateur, but he's a chef at heart. He's trying to portray himself as a family man too. But well worth a watch. Yeah. If you have any interest in Ramsay.
Yeah. Yazdi, what's your pick?
So my pick is a movie that I stumbled upon because I was being cheap and I was seeing how much I could watch without, I canceled my subscription to Hulu and Disney Plus, which we are about to resubscribe. But anyway, so Tubi, I really like Tubi because it's completely free. There's just a couple of ads which come along. And I saw this movie and then it looked very interesting to me. And then I read up about it and then I got even more interested. So Stephen Graham, he's the guy who was in Adolescence.
Yes,
he played the dad.
Yes.
And he was also I think he wrote the first episode of Adolescence. I can see the kernel of where his idea for Adolescence came from. And it came from this movie, which is called Boiling Point.
Oh, the chef one.
Correct. So
Yes.
it's in the cooking theme, and Boiling Point is a single take, almost 2-hour film about a chef trying to manage like one of the worst days, in the restaurant. It's shot in a restaurant in London. You could say it's like The Bear. We've already seen it in the
I was just going to say,
multiple episodes.
Yes.
a lot like The Bear.
But this predates The Bear, and I don't think it's playing any games where somebody walks into a dark room and then during that time, they're switching the take. It seems like one genuine take, and it's got at least, 20 different, speaking parts, and a lot happens during that one night. It doesn't end well. It kind of is depressing, but it's still, I think, a technical marvel. So if you like, like bravado filmmaking, then you should watch completely free Boiling Point on Tubi.
Tubi's a great service, by
Tubi's
the
great.
way.
Yeah.
Like, since you switched us onto it, I'm like, I keep flicking through, and there's some really good stuff.
They have Korean films, Asian films, Indian films. They have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really,
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Mubi.
With Mubi, yes. Which is
Tubi.
a paid
Right.
service.
which
Right.
was a paid service that had the substance and
Correct.
things like that. Yeah.
Tubi, Tubi. Yes.
I'm surprised there isn't some sort of a lawsuit. Or maybe, are they related?
I don't know. Maybe Mubi is Tubi's paid service. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We can find out.
Yeah.
Find out. All right. And my pick is really lazy. And I say it's really lazy. My picks are always lazy, but it's because it's a movie that we saw earlier this year. And that movie is Send Help. It's coming out
Love that
on
movie.
Disney and Hulu.
Best film ever.
In May, and today I would say it's among my top movies of the year already. I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of my top movies of the year,
Yes.
regardless. So, rather than prattle on and on and on about how it's worth watching, if you go back a few episodes of Moviewallas, I think it was episode.
Maybe three episodes ago.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think it was
more,
like
yeah.
maybe a little more. It was like one of the first episodes of the year, like episode 588, something like that. You will hear our review of Send Help, where all of us wholeheartedly recommended the movie. So
It's so much fun. We won't rattle on. It's so much fun. It's super entertaining. The only person I wouldn't recommend it to is if you are queasy about some extreme violence, but even that is used almost comically.
Yeah.
So it's such a great plot. You'll have a great time.
Yeah.
Just watch it.
Yeah.
and that's Moviewallas episode 586. So it's right there on our website or in our podcast feed. Go check it out.
Yeah, and while we're doing that, I did check. Mubi and Tubi might sound similar, but they're actually completely separate companies with very different models. No ownership or corporate relationship between them.
Wow.
Mubi is a curated cinephile-focused platform, and Tubi, which Yazdi loves, is a free ad-supported mass streaming platform. Okay.
I would sue if I was
Mubi
one
and
of those.
Tubi.
But no, that's great. All right.
They're even spelled the same way.
M-U-B-I and T-U-B-I, yep.
Well, that's because you can't get any other, correctly spelled name as a URL if you're launching a service. Everyone does it would be like Moviefy or
Yeah, yeah.
Movilify,
Okay.
They always have to come up with these weird things. All right. 3 movies to talk about then. The drama, I Swear, and Michael, or as Yazdi said earlier today, Michael, I Swear, the drama.
Yes, yes.
Which order?
I
shall we
Swear.
tackle then? Okay, let's begin with I Swear then.
Okay, so unfortunately, Joe and I didn't get to see this. I really want to see this. This is the movie that won the BAFTA for Best Actor. So this is set in Scotland. It's a true life story of someone called John Davidson who was diagnosed with Tourette's at 15. And he was targeted as insane by his peers. He struggled with a condition few had witnessed. And, he's campaigning for better understanding and acceptance of the condition of Tourette's as an adult. And he finds his life's purpose and accepted his MBE from the Queen in 2019. So I believe that this guy was actually in the audience at the BAFTAs. And if you were watching that live stream when
There was some
Michael B.
controversy.
Jordan and
Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Linden were presenting an award, there was some noise in the background. And apparently it was this guy. So, yes. So Yazdi, tell us, is this worth rushing out to see? This came out in the UK last year. We're just getting it in the US now. Just got released.
I think it's required viewing for everyone. And
Yay.
it is. It's just, it's hard to do a film like this without coming off pedantic or patronizing or glib. It's about, this person prevailing against great odds, facing physical difficulties with Tourette's, etc. But I think it's done with so much objectivity, and yet it doesn't shy away from things. It's shocking to believe that, in the 80s, in a small rural town in Scotland, nobody had heard of Tourette's.
Right.
But I can swear there are probably millions of little villages in India where nobody's heard of Tourette's. And this little kid who is like a emerging soccer, soccer star, they even have like a hunting talent come in for the game, and then he just starts doing these physical twitches and he starts swearing, and his parents are convinced he's doing that to sabotage himself and that he is seeking attention, and nobody at the school understands him.
Right.
And then, it goes through all of his life. I think I really liked it because I think this is the movie we need right now, because it's ultimately about kindness, right? And giving consideration to those we don't understand, or who may at first glance may even seem hateful or contentious, right? If somebody is saying like really
rude,
vitriolic,
swearing,
words at you, your first reaction is to kind of fight back or get angry or to shout at them. And the only reason this man came to be at a place where he's now, essentially an advocate for people's understanding of Tourette's is because he had a handful of people, 2 or 3 people in his life who saw past his physical afflictions and his an inability to stop swearing and look past him. And, it's the kindness of those 2 or 3 people in his life who allowed him to prevail. So I think, I don't know. I think the world is burning right now, and I think this is the kind of hopeful movie that we need, which tells us that if we consider who at first seems to be an enemy with a little bit more kindness, then, we all benefit. So I was tremendously moved. I was so moved I couldn't even talk when I came out of the theater.
Wow.
And there's a lot of things which happen through his life. And, biopics are hard to do. Biopics are really hard. They can come off really glib or, putting a person on a pedestal. This one does none of those things. Everything is handled beautifully. Really, everybody should watch it. There isn't a single person I would recommend not watch it.
And how much does it talk about the disease itself? Because again, you're right. We didn't really hear about Tourette's until about the last 10 to 12 years, it feels like. And certainly we've been watching, there's a great show on, I think it's like Bravo or E, one of those, called Balin Out Loud, about there's a young lady here in the US, I think she's kind of early 20s, who has Tourette's and became a very famous TikToker, Instagrammer, and they did a show about her, and she's adorable. And it follows her as well, but it's a really difficult
TLC.
affliction. TLC, thank you, the Learning Channel. So does it talk about Tourette's as a disease?
It does, and it does it pretty late into the film, which kind of follows his own learning about the disease as he found out.
Right.
And then, he's now a pretty strong advocate for it. So we see some of his, speeches and what he's saying.
Right.
Of course, the acting is amazing. Robert Aramayo, who plays the grown-up version of this individual, and then the kid who plays the 15 or 16-year-old version, they both do remarkable jobs. But I think it's almost like every actor in this is so good. I think everybody should watch this film. It's lovely, and I can understand why it got released early in the UK, because they wanted awards consideration. I personally believe...
And they won,
And they won, and I personally believe if this movie had been released in the US last year as well, then it possibly would have won, at least
Yeah.
for best screenplay or other things.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I forgot to mention, it's written, directed by Kirk Jones, starring Robert Arameo as John Davidson, Peter Mullen, Maxine Peake, Shirley Henderson, a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah.
It's quite an unknown cast, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes me wonder. So forget Tourette's. Some kids have ADHD. Some kids have learning difficulties. How often do parents, to their credit, jump to conclusion to believe that they have a kid who is either,
Yes.
either mentally challenged, or they think they have a kid who is just acting up,
Yeah.
Right.
just acting up to be contrary to them, and how much we are losing in the world because those people, if they don't get those individuals, if they don't get diagnosed, then they go down this track, right?
Right.
In the case of this individual,
They can be expelled from school or
Correct.
yeah,
Oh, no,
not get
for
an
sure, yeah.
education. Yeah.
I mean, in centuries gone by, they would have probably been thought of being possessed.
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting disorder.
Yeah.
The way that they speak out these thoughts, and they're not even conscious thoughts.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Oh, good.
I mean, I think I'll just say one other thing. After I saw the movie, I went online and looked, and there is this controversy which remains unsolved, or there's nobody agrees on what the truth is. But there is a belief amongst one group of people that when a person with Tourette swears, that there is a short circuiting in their brain, right? That it's the desire to say the most inappropriate thing.
Right, at the most inappropriate
At the most
time,
inappropriate, that it just comes out. There is a more controversial group of people who believe that a person with Tourette's disease will only use the N-word because in their mind, they are racist. So how would the idea of the N-word even come in their mind unless either they saw somebody else use it in a racist... So I guess the two theories are like, do you still have any blame on the person who has this thing come out? For example, like if somebody uses really bad language, are they just relaying their inner thoughts? Are they truly in their head thinking about those things? Or is it completely involuntary? And nobody knows. And I think it's a fascinating thing to think about.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we could debate that. I mean, from the little I know, and I will say, the Balin Out Loud series on TLC is probably as close as I've gotten to understanding. I've not studied it. I don't know anyone with it. I haven't, read up on it. But it seems to me that it's the former. It's
It's just a short circuit.
She'll be speaking with her father, who he's got no hair. So while she's talking to him, she'll yell out, "You're bald," and
right.
That's there's no way that she's trying to hurt him in those moments.
Right.
It's just that's the brain kind of this
Short
misfiring.
circuit,
Yeah.
It's a fascinating way. In many ways, it's a fascinating disorder because of the brain dysfunction, the specific brain dysfunction at play.
And how good it's got us talking about it,
But
right?
anyway, it sounds
What's
like a
the
fantastic
score,
movie,
Yazdi?
yeah.
A very, very easy 8.5 out of 10, which I'm going to back down to an 8. But everybody should watch this. It is the movie we need right now. I get choked up even thinking about it. It's just so beautifully done as these things go. Yeah.
All right. Yay.
All right. That was the movie I Swear. We're going to talk about, should we go to the drama or Michael?
I think we were going to go to the drama.
Let's go to the drama. So I'll introduce this very briefly because I think this one needs a little bit of care. I haven't seen any trailers or promotional material about this, but
It's
all I'll say is
there are no spoilers in the ethosphere, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll read then from the Rotten Tomatoes description because that way I know it's safe. A happily engaged couple is put to the test when an unexpected turn sends their wedding week off the rails. This movie is directed by Christopher Borgli and stars Zendaya and Robert Pattinson.
It's almost impossible to talk about this movie.
Well,
Yeah.
I did actually. I realized while I was watching it that I read a piece in, of all things, The Economist, before before seeing it, and I read it while we were in the UK, and it was talking about the fact that the movie had offended a large group of people.
Oh.
So, anyway, I'm going to stop there because I think, this is one of those movies where we do have to dance a little around the movie's central conceit, but I think we can also talk a little bit about what just happened here. So yeah, they're all preparing for a wedding, and then a series of events takes place. So guys, what did you think of the drama?
I loved it. I think it's simple at its core in terms of the one idea that's explored, and it's executed really, really well. And props to Robert Pattinson. He's so good in this movie. This is a really hard role to do, and he really impressed me. I really like this movie.
Yazdi.
So I think so I love this film too, and I've been thinking about it nonstop,
Yeah.
and I've argued with people, and I love.
That's not like you.
That's not like me at all. But if you look at like the spoiler-free reviews of people on Letterboxd for the drama, you will see people on every end of the spectrum. And we can talk offline about it, where they're like, person A is like evil, whereas somebody's like, no, person A is the person X is the evil person, whatever. So the script so there's two things I want to say. The script is amazing. The script is so agile. In fact, the first 15 minutes, it's like almost like a collage of several things happening. And I'm like, where is this movie going? What's going on? It seems to be kind of free floating in the air until it kind of settles down on its central provocation. I think the entire movie is a provocation. You are presented with, let's call it an ethical question at the center of the movie, and then uses that provocation as fertile ground and then goes with it. So that's what I like. And I also like that the pacing of the movie is so good, right? It's leading up to the wedding of Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. And as things are happening based on this provocation, I'm going to keep calling it just the provocation, it becomes increasingly more hectic and breakneck, and it's almost like hurtling towards the end. And I like that a movie can kind of bring you to the edge of your seat. There are a lot of people who have issues with the provocation itself, and we can talk about that. Joe.
Yeah, no, count me in as another fanboy of this movie. I think, look, this is one of those movies where everything is intentionally a little overcooked.
Yeah.
Right? So the provocation is overcooked. The responses to the provocation are overcooked. The outcomes of the responses are overcooked. Everything kind of boils over in the way that ordinarily in lesser hands would just be frustrating and kind of silly. Like, no one would really do that, right? No one's really going to behave that way. You have to kind of, well, in my mind at least, the provocation isn't necessarily, it's like a thought crime, right? More than, again, I want to be careful here. It's not necessarily something someone did. It's about the person that they may or may not reveal themselves to be. And I hope that that's not too spoilery. And if it is, tell me, because I'll cut it. But the intention here is to just, create this little universe where everything is kind of, boiling over. I did, like you, Yazdi, really enjoy all the little jump cuts at the beginning.
Yes.
Because I think the way that was done, again, was done purely in service of the narrative, right? It's like scene reveal, explanation, but it all has some integrity. It didn't feel like the director was doing it for any other reason other than to explain a chronology and a timeline of how this relationship came to be, which is really important that you understand that to then understand.
And it continues to do that throughout the movie. It's almost like I was going to say the editing really impressed me because you almost hear the character have a thought, and then it's kind of like what goes on in their head as they're thinking about that thought. So it was a very clever device There was a lot of movie shot. It feels like, and then it was
Exactly.
condensed into like 20 seconds, not even like 10 seconds of a thought that we get to see in the character's mind, which was mind blowing.
And there's also a lot of flashbacks, and that's why I'm thinking this must have been a pain to film. Because
Yes.
there's a lot to film, which just shows up for a few
Yes.
seconds
Yeah.
afterwards. Yeah. I also think this is a very difficult acting challenge, and I think both
absolutely.
Robert Pattinson and Zendaya are terrific in this.
Yes.
But for me, the thought I came back with, and you guys can agree or disagree with me, is that Paul Thomas Anderson was right all along. And let me explain why.
I know exactly what you're going to say, and I agree.
Yeah, because Paul Thomas Anderson put in the lead in his movie Licorice Pizza
Yes.
this unknown actress who was a indie Alana Haim, who was this indie
She's phenomenal.
singer. And Alana Haim she's been in a lot of movies, and she had a small itty bitty part in One Battle After the Another
Yes.
as well. But in this movie, she plays Rachel,
The friend.
the friend,
No. Exactly.
one half of their best friends. And I think Alana Haim, I hope that's not how she's like in real life. And anyway, I'm not going to judge, but I think she has the hardest job to do, and she just knocks it out of the park. She's very, very good there. I also like the fact that it kind of tries to get to a conclusion. I'm not sure I would agree with that conclusion, but I was so enthralled by that point that I didn't care how the movie concluded. I was just happy to have been through this whole process. There's one other thing I would say, and I will let you guys talk. A lot of people who don't like the movie, and I'm going to be very careful how I say this. A lot of people who don't like the movie say that they don't understand the Zendaya character, and they don't understand her motivations, and not enough is explained, and she remains a cipher. That may all be true, but I think the movie is intentionally seen from the first frame through the last through the eyes of the Robert Pattinson character.
Correct. Agreed.
So by definition, he would not know what exactly was going on in her
Yes.
mind at any given time, including when she was younger. So I'm not buying that argument that, that you're taking an easy way out. You're just dropping a bomb and then not explaining it. I think the intention all along was, if you were Robert Pattinson, how would you react? And I think the movie is truthful by that measure.
Yeah, agree.
Well
Agree.
said. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing more to add.
No, I think the controversy that I've heard around the movie, came straight from a newspaper, so I'll leave it there. But I think the provocation that the movie is based around, people take issue with, and I think it's a serious issue. But this movie is not exploring that at all. This provocation could be any number of different things.
Yeah.
And it's not about the thing that it's about. It's
how it is about it.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but no, that as soon as it came out of my mouth, it like went straight back to that Roger Ebert quote. It's not about how something is. It's not about what the thing is about. It's how it's about what it's about.
Right.
It's nothing to do with that. That's a MacGuffin of the biggest sorts, right? It is all about putting the characters into a place where they have to have discussions about the nature of who they are as people, and for that you have to stir up the pot, and so they use something.
Although, to be fair, I agree it could have been anything, but this scriptwriter has picked the absolute worst of the worst, right?
I think there's worse things. I really do.
Right,
I think there's many
right,
other things that they could have said, and that in some ways, one of there's another option in the screenplay, directly from the screenplay, that I think could have been a worse option.
This is
mentioned
true.
by one of the other characters.
Yes.
This is true.
So to me, it's not about that thing. It's just that was the best lever to use.
And I do like the fact that it creates almost like you think it's going to turn into this debate about that thing, and actually, although they kind of skirt around it a little bit, that's not what it's about. Yeah. It's truly about how two people react when they find out something about the other person that they didn't know, right? And it's I just love that it's about that.
Yeah.
And it plays with this at several levels. I think the whole movie is a test of what would you do in this situation? From the first half hour through
Absolutely.
the end of the movie, there is a whole subplot, and this is not a spoiler. There's a whole subplot where they find out that their DJ. They think they see the
I
DJ
love
doing
that.
cocaine on a street corner, and that gets them so upset. And I'm like, if I'm getting married, I don't care what my DJ does in their after hours as long as they're a good DJ. But this seems to really upset a lot of people. Like, how can we have this person in our wedding if they're doing drugs on the street? So it has so many provocative, interesting
Well,
things to
even the
talk
way
about.
that even the way that they meet is controversial,
Correct.
and then what's going on is there's so many little moral dilemmas, little explosions which
Yeah.
don't compare to anything when you find out what the main one is. So anyway, let's wrap this one up. Joe, what's your score for this one?
This is a really solid 8 out of 10. It's fun. It's challenging. It's intention. And again, I'm going to keep going back to the pulpiness of this movie. Like it's pressure cooked. It's like, there's nothing, you're going to stick your hand in it and get goop out. There's no, it's like, it's overly boiled and that makes it sound terrible. But no, it's intentionally done that so that we can have the situations and the characters that we have. As long as you accept that concession, which normally I'm resistant to. So I'll be honest. I mean, to me, this is a movie that ordinarily I would find frustrating. I really enjoyed it because it was so well crafted. 8 out of 10.
Yazdi.
Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. I commend original scripts. I commend people who take risks. This script is playing with you the whole time. It is, like you said, it's completely playing with you. It's overcooking everything. But you know what? I enjoyed being played by the script. I kind of came away like, fine, play me, right? I'm happy to be played if you're going to do this so well. There's 100 things I can say about this movie. The costumes, I want to find out that New York City apartment where they're living in, which is amazing.
Lovely, yes.
The clothing, everything. And we didn't even talk about Robert Pattinson, how good he is.
He's so good.
I did say it right at the beginning.
You did say it right. By the way, a lot of people think that Zendaya is a supporting actor in this movie and it's Robert Pattinson's movie.
I don't disagree with that.
Maybe.
I don't disagree
It
with
is
that.
certainly told from his point of view.
Yeah, I loved it.
So all those people who complain that movies are derivative, that it's sequels, that there's nothing clever or intelligent or thought-provoking, watch the drama. Most of our listeners, you'll probably watch it on streaming. What I would also additionally recommend is there is a certain joy from watching this movie in the theater because you are part of a group of people who are reacting to pretty outrageous situations and, hearing people's nervous laughters and people's anger while different things were playing out for me was as entertaining as the movie itself.
Yeah, it was great to see it at the cinema.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Did
888.
Did you?
Did I score? Oh, mine's also an 8. Yes, 8. I was thinking in my head already, 888. It's great.
Yes.
Up there as one of the better movies of the year
It
already.
really is. It's not in a dissimilar vein from The Help. Not The Help.
Send Help.
The Send Help. It's got that same kind of irony and,
Sure, I see that. Yeah.
sarcasm and...
It's not as broad.
There's not moral, but all characters are grey. There's no one who's good or bad. They're all on that kind of like...
It's played a little less for laughs, I think.
Yeah.
Send Help, they go and...
Yeah. But there were some very funny moments in this,
some
which
very-
I thought was
but
fantastic.
But to Yazdi's point, it was nervous laughter.
Yeah.
I was laughing because it felt in some ways, walls closing in.
Yes.
Woody Allen.
Yes.
Male
Yes.
character in
Yes.
type moments.
Yeah. We didn't even mention there was another good side character, the Misha character, and that whole scene is so funny. It's great. Anyway.
I also last thing I'll say, I also like it because the movie is ultimately about the unknowable nature of human beings.
Yes.
You may be with someone for a long time and you will never fully know them. And based on what you find, is that going to negate everything else you know about that person?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
Last film.
Michael.
Yes, so I will introduce this. So director Antoine Fuqua, who is famous for winning a load of Oscars for the movie Training Day with Denzel Washington. He's done so many movies since the Equalizer movies, Olympus Has Fallen, King Arthur, etc. He takes on directing reins for the biopic of none other than Michael Jackson. And this is, I believe, an fully authorized retelling or telling of the early life of Michael Jackson, His estate has, given full carte blanche on how things are depicted in this.
And his family are some of the producers, I think.
Correct.
Including his son.
Correct. Yes. So which speaks to, this is not an unauthorized biopic. It's written by John Logan. The director, as I said, is Antoine Fuqua. And it looks at the early life of Michael Jackson, I believe coming up all the way to his performance of Bad in 1980 something. 1988. The movie stars Jafar Jackson, who I believe is his nephew, as the lead role as Michael Jackson. And then Nia Long as Catherine Jackson, his mom, and Coleman Domingo as Joseph Jackson, his dad. I wonder if Miss Janet makes an appearance in this story at all. Oh, okay. Anyway, the movie has been out. I haven't had a chance to see it. The only controversy I've heard about it is that the movie completely sidesteps, the sexual assault allegations against Michael later in his life. But you guys have both seen it. You're fans. What do you think about it?
Look.
I'm the biggest Michael fan amongst us.
Yeah,
probably.
no, look, I mean, Michael Jackson's a very controversial character over the years because in the 80s he was a megastar, and like the likes of which, to quote our president, we've never seen before. But he really was. For me personally, he was kind of a hero, right? Like we were all there when the Thriller and the Michael and the Billie Jean videos dropped, and like, at the time, the world was completely obsessed with this enigmatic, secretive, uber talented performer. So, this is the movie of that version of Michael Jackson, and that's the thing that you kind of have to immediately. You have to dispense with any sort of an objective telling of his life. To me, in many ways, this is the same vein as the Bohemian Rhapsody biopic of Freddie Mercury. We had the Amy Winehouse movie, Amy, last year. The Rocket Man. They take their protagonist, their star, their target, I guess, and they do pedestalize them. And that's exactly what has happened here. As a movie, it works because it's fun. It has a very Lifetime feel to it. The performances aren't amazing, but the atmosphere of the movie in a big screen with the Michael Jackson themes, the Quincy Jones music, the Jackson 5 music from back in the day, all really lent themselves to kind of like a theater show performance. The audience was so into this movie. I was amazed that the audience was as into this movie. I think we saw it on opening weekend. Right? So, if you go with the fans, it's great. I'll stop there because I think there's a lot of things to not like about this movie. But overall, I think as a film, as a theater going experience, is actually quite fun.
Yeah, what Joe said. Unfortunately, I think it's too Lifetime and Hallmark. It's so sterile. I think if you were to reclassify this movie as the Joseph Jackson movie, that might align your expectations a little more.
Domingo played.
Played by Coleman Domingo. I think if you reframed the movie as the Joseph Jackson movie, that might actually be a better way to market this movie. Because really, at its core, it's mostly about that relationship between Michael Jackson and his father. And in that vein, then you can say, okay, well, we're not going to mention all of the other controversial stuff. And it might give you a better score and make it less Hallmark. Because there's nothing bitey in this. There's nothing controversial in this. It is an infomercial for Michael Jackson. It's interesting that it kind of highlights 3 or 4 pivotal male relationships. One was with his bodyguard, one's with his father, and then one's with his his main lawyer. And they're featured so prominently that I was kind of thinking the movie was going in another direction, and it didn't go in that direction. But it's got very little bite. It's empty calories. The music is really amazing to listen to on a big screen. Watching his nephew redo the Thriller video, redo the Billie Jean video, do those dance sequences. It's loud and it's great and it's really fun to listen to, but as a movie, it's just hot air.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on all the problems I was going to.
Is the music the original music, or
It seems like it.
he's resung it?
No, it seems like
The
it's original,
music,
but who
okay.
knows?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and to me, it sounded original. Whether he mimed it or reperformed, I don't know.
The
But
dancing is incredible.
it felt authentic.
Yeah, Jafar Jackson has done an incredible job of inhabiting Michael Jackson. Of course, you're constantly looking and saying that's not Michael Jackson, but how they've done the movement and the dancing is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's. Look, I mean, I again, I stumbled upon a discussion of this in the British newspaper, the Times of London, in which they cite Antoine Fuqua, and they're like, well, you know, and they interview him. They're like, why doesn't this movie go into those things? And his response was, well, these are allegations. These were never proven in a court of law. And the newspaper counter argues, well, there were a lot of settlements of the allegations. And he said, well, that doesn't mean they were true. So they've definitely taken a specific point of view about, that to them, Michael was this special, uniquely talented individual.
Yeah.
And any of his shortcomings, they say are basically, accusations without basis. So
Sure.
if you take that perspective, that's the movie you're going to make. Whether they're doing that because it's the movie's funded by the Jackson estate, which it is, it effectively becomes kind of this is their attempt to memorialize Michael and sweep some of the other stuff that we saw under the rug.
Yeah.
And to me, again, that's problematic in some ways. I wish you'd almost taken them on in some ways.
Yeah.
And maybe given a different side of the story. If you truly believe that those things are baseless, then go there, right? Like, tell your side of the story, so that we understand why it is that you think that this guy is still, without controversy. But they opted not to do that, and that's fair. That's their artistic choice, and it's their money.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that they stop at 1988, which is
Yeah.
kind of the pinnacle of Michael Jackson's career.
Is there going to be a Michael 2?
It's kind of weird, right? They stop at literally
I mean, it's done
1988.
so well at the box office. I would imagine that there's some desire by producers somewhere to do a Michael 2, but I doubt it, because I think that
What's
second
left to
stage,
say? And what's left to say?
the not the asymptote. What's the peak of his the peak of his popularity, and the peak of his mega stardom was Thriller.
Yeah.
Right? The best-selling album of all time.
Yeah.
He achieved things like getting onto MTV as a black performer that had never been done before. They talk about that. The album Thriller was this worldwide phenomenon. And I don't think he ever achieved those same heights with subsequent albums. So, they finished at the high point.
Yeah.
And that's the choice they made.
Score.
So look, I mean, is it a great movie? No, it really isn't. I mean, I don't think performance-wise there's anything to talk about here. The wonderful Coleman Domingo is doing his best work with fairly clunky dialogue, I think. So again, you can see him almost battling with a poorly written script to try and put something forward as a character. It's not great from that perspective, but it was a good time at the movies with an audience, and so I'm going to give it a kind of a middling kind of 6 out of 10. I can't tell you not to see this if you like Michael Jackson and his music, especially the era of the Jackson 5 all the way up to Thriller. Because it's such a one. It's like, again, go back to Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie. It was really fun seeing those songs played with a big audience and
Live in a loud theatre.
And people were having fun with that, and I have to count myself as one among them. But it's not a wonderful rush out and see movie if you're going to see it for the movies. Like, if you're not a Michael Jackson fan, if
don't bother.
you're not into the music, you'll see you'll see kind of a B movie here.
Yeah. Same. My score is 6 out of 10 as well. I mean, again, I would know what you're getting. This is Hallmark, this is Hallmark territory. But it's fun to watch the music.
It's made $464 million worldwide in its first 10 days. So
Wow.
I'm sure there will be, Michael, the later years.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
this really is the definition of fan service.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like
Right.
this is for the fans.
Yeah.
It's by the family for the fans. It's their gift to
Yeah.
the fans who, maybe feel, cheated by these allegations. Antoine Fuqua, even calls into play, he plays the race card in his interview where he says, this is another attempt to bring down a prominent black figure. You can make those arguments, right? The movie's not about those, but he's just saying we're going to ignore all that stuff because this is the greatness and the talent. And he was no matter what you say, he was an amazingly unique
Yeah,
talent.
he was.
And I'm not at all defending sexual assault, but I will just say this, that if we were to judge every genius artist based on their personal lives, we wouldn't have any artists to look
That's
at.
true. Good
That's
point.
a rabbit hole.
So no, but my
yeah.
point is, if we cannot separate their craft from their whatever's going on in their personal life, then we would be left with very little art to admire, be it music or theater or cinema or whatever. So again,
Yeah.
I'm not even justifying it.
No.
I'm just saying, regardless of what he may or did or didn't do, I think the genius of his music.
If you're interested in
persists.
that topic, there's
Yes.
a wonderful subreddit on the site Reddit called Why Were We Okay With This?
Right.
And they have a constant stream of celebrities from years gone by doing things that today would be completely inappropriate. This isn't exactly the same thing, to be honest, but yeah, I mean, a lot of if you're a Rolling Stones fan, then know that one of the band members is effectively married somebody underage.
Yeah.
A pedophile. How can we support that? That's just this is crazy stuff.
But I think sorry, not to get off track, I think my mind has the complexity to say this person was a deplorable pedophile and this person wrote one of the best songs of all time.
Oh, Yazdi. No, I'm saying I don't disagree with you.
Right.
But
That's a hard place to
it's
be.
a hard place to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it really is.
Okay.
Let's yeah.
But I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
No.
Two things
again,
can be true, right?
Yeah, no, many. I've had heroes fall, and it's the genuine problem.
Right.
Woody Allen.
Michael Jackson is one of my heroes that I believe has fallen.
Yeah.
I'll say it straight out loud. Yeah, but for me, it's very hard to give up my cancel culture. Pitchfork
Tolerance.
cannot bring me to give up the album that is Thriller, because it's such an important part of my youth, my history, and who I am. So.
Well, we've beaten this one.
Yes.
On that note, before we all kind of say things that we're going to get arrested
Before we
for,
get cancelled.
and Moviewallas gets cancelled, let's wrap this one up. We've got reviews of Devil Wears Prada 2 coming up, as well as Mother Mary in our next podcast. So once again, thank you for listening or for watching. If you check us out on YouTube, we still put these out online. So they have an interesting viewing pattern. They kind of they spike and then they go quiet, and then some of the movies come back with a second release. So that's interesting. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to our podcast. We will be back very soon with more movies. Until then, too many movies, too little time. Goodbye from me.
And me.
And me as well.